All right, everybody, welcome, welcome. Um, we're going to chat about essential oils for emotional, energetic balance during difficult times. So the way I come at essential oils is a little different. So let me explain to you why. But first, even though I'm going to talk about some emotions that technically could have a diagnosis, that's not how I'm talking about them. I'm getting into the energy of emotions that we feel. So nothing I say is meant to supersede any medical treatment. So I just wanted to put that out there. And even though I'm an attorney, I have been an energy healer for, oh my gosh, almost 15 years. So I started my business about 11 years ago. And I have 7 different healing certifications. I am a Reiki master teacher, integrated energy therapy master instructor. I'm an advanced crystal master, yada, yada, yada. So I bring all of that. I can't help but bring all of that to the oils when I talk about them. So I really come at them from an energetic perspective, which is different than a physical perspective. So I'm going to be talking about emotions and energy of emotions, especially during difficult times. And then the oils that I really like to use, and I'm even going to toss in some affirmations. So that's where I'm coming from with this. So, and if you already haven't signed up for any of these, anybody that's in my team or Crossline under Yvonne gets these for free. Others have to pay for this, but you guys get this for free. So all year long, I'm doing this year of well-being. So it's always the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So check that out on my website if you want to join in. All right, so this is such a beautiful picture. Just putting us all in a great space. And, you know, and I want to thank you all for being here, because we've had a few rough years. We've had a few rough years. And even taking the pandemic out of the picture, we've had a few rough years. No matter what you're looking at, we've all been kind of put through the ringer. And there's a variety of reasons. Like I look at the energy of our world, and there's a whole energy shift. I have a whole separate class on that. So I'm not going to go into that, but you know, we've been through a lot really in the last 5 years or so. And, you know, in the chat, you know, and I won't name your name, but is there a primary emotion that you have been feeling a lot lately? If you could just type that in the chat, I would just like to know that. To be honest, I've been feeling a lot of anger, which is shocking considering I have a couple hundred bottles of essential oils and probably 500 pounds of crystals in my house, which tells me that I am feeling a lot of what's out there. Yeah, mad, angry, frustrated, lonely. Yes. Yes, I am hearing this consistently. And the more, you know, empathetic you are, if you're an empath, much of what you feel may actually not even be yours. It may not even be yours. You know, but there's just so much divisiveness over stuff that, you know, in the past never used to be divisive. It's almost like we're living the Hunger Games. And you know, social media can be a complete mess when it comes to this, but yet it's how a lot of us connect. And so it's like, how do I not see those posts that are divisive, but yet stay connected with the people, you know, that are posting about kittens and puppies all the time? And then you add in a pandemic and you add in politics and protests and war. Oh my gosh, what's going on right now is just really breaking me. Innocent people and animals suffering. And these are all things like outside of you that are happening. They may not have really impacted you like in a direct way. But then I look at personal struggles that people are having, with health, with family, with work, the people around you, relationships are ending, marriages are ending, people are dying, pets are dying, accidents, trauma, just shocking situations. And the one thing I've noticed is that when we have kind of the fiery emotions like anger, when you have anger, you're actually in the process of releasing it. That's good. Doesn't feel great. I don't like to be angry, but you're in the process of releasing it. But if you experience a lot of negative emotions, sometimes they are too much for us to process, and then they get embedded in the body. And then it simmers. And then out of nowhere, somebody says something or does something that has no relation to the emotion that is about ready to become a volcano. And people will even say, why are you getting so mad over that? It has nothing to do with you. You just hit a trigger. And here she comes. So that can happen, but we can also get very fatigued, physically fatigued, emotionally fatigued, mentally fatigued, spiritually fatigued, where it's like, I just don't have the energy for anything. And you just isolate and you engage in numbing behaviors, mindless scrolling on social media, binge watching television shows, binge eating food, alcohol, drugs, just anything obsessive is a numbing technique. Even overworking, that's my coping skill. I just work. It's like, you know what? I don't have time for these emotions. Let's go. Let's write a book. And that when the fatigue and the numbness sets in and the coping mechanisms set in, that's when the energy has really settled into your body. And it's not going to be good when it comes out. Okay. So, our daily reality is, we're in very challenging times, and it is taking a toll on our emotions. I see it all the time, even when I'm just out driving in my car. It's like, man, what's that guy mad at? It's like, I'm just driving. And emotions will take a toll on our physical health. If you have ever been anxious about something, you've probably gotten stomach upset or a headache. I mean, emotions can become toxic in the body. And every day we can experience a myriad of situations that can emotionally throw us off balance. And if it just keeps happening time after time after again, and it's just pound, 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 it may feel very slight and very light, but you get hit 10,000 times and you feel it. And this can include the everyday slights, the person who, is being aggressive on the road and you're not doing anything and they're just going crazy on you, or the coworker who gives you a nasty look, or a family member who says hurtful things, or one of your customers who just goes off on you. And it's like, I have no idea what they're upset about, but they go off on you and you just happen to be the target. Just being in contact with other people's issues, other people's negativity, people who are unkind and angry, and they are at a volcano point and you just happen to be caught in the spewing of the volcano. Working in areas where you see trauma, where you experience other people's trauma, or, pets' trauma. Simply watching wars and trauma on the news, over time, it will wear you down. If you have an accident or you're involved in a scary situation, this can impact you emotionally, being victimized at any point. that creates an emotion of fear, which can embed very deep in the body. You know, how you responded to the pandemic. I mean, my gosh, it's just like it's like the never-ending Energizer bunny. You know, did you go through it with fear for your health and finances, or did you pivot and thrive? And I'm just seeing a variety of different responses to the pandemic, but it impacted everybody. You know, wars and violence, you know, if you see the images and if you see the videos, it will impact your emotions because your brain does not distinguish between what you see and hear compared to what you actually experience in life. So this is where, yes, I mean, I know a lot of people are very concerned with what's happening in Ukraine and even Afghanistan and, you know, all sorts of stuff around the world. You're very concerned about it. You want to stay up to date, but it is traumatic. I can't even fathom what those people are going through, and the people with the animals. You know, and then social media has just become a minefield. Too many people are afraid to say what they want to say, or to express an opinion, or even express support for something. It's like, oh, somebody's going to go off on me about that. And, you know, so there's just a lot of stuff happening. And, you know, and I talk about this in some of my, you know, membership groups, that the short story is that we're in the final showdown of old energy that is all about war and aggression, and it's doing its one last sweep. One last sweep means a lot of sweeps, but it's trying to survive, and it's not going to, but it's horrible in the process, and it'll wear us down. This is our daily reality. And so emotions will tell you if something is right for you or wrong for you, if it's good for you or bad for you. You know, if you've ever stayed in a job and it made you sick, if you ever hung around people and they left you feeling down, you know, if you've ever felt anxious or depressed after watching the news, if you ever felt like crap and feel bad after eating, you know, a whole tub of ice cream or a bag of potato chips because that's your comfort food. Yet that's the frequency of your body and emotions telling you you're on the wrong path. This is not good for you. Don't do this. Our emotions are asking us to pivot and solve the problem. Our emotions will tell us if we're on the right or the wrong path, if something or someone is good for us, if even what you're eating is good for you, if what you're absorbing online on television is good for you. And if you don't feel good, that's your emotional GPS saying, stop the car, turn it around. You got to recalibrate. Because, you know, emotions, they speak to us, but we have to listen to them. And if you don't, you'll eventually turn numb and get into avoidance activities. And, you know, what's interesting, I was doing some research on some of the oils this afternoon, and I was in my essential oil team page, and a really, really long post that I put in there came up from November of 2017. And I want to read to you what I wrote. It was a really long post, but I just want to read you a paragraph. And this, I was writing this from St. Moritz, Switzerland. And I said, we can't move forward in life, personally or professionally, when we haven't processed difficult emotions and changing times. We can hold our breath and keep moving forward, but at some point you will hit a brick wall and you will be stopped dead in your tracks. If this sounds like something you need to do, and you just can't hop a plane or zigzag up the Swiss Alps to get to St. Moritz like I did in November 2017, this is where you start working with your oils. And I was there because I was heavy in grief. I was at a conference, but I took a 3-day excursion to St. Moritz because I was heavy in grief and I needed to process it. Now, not everybody can do that, especially now. But I thought it was interesting that I saw that post when I was researching for this class today. But our emotions speak to us, because when we have positive emotions, that's telling us we're on the right track. We're happy, we're accepting, we go for things. It just feels right. You know, we don't second guess and judge ourselves. and we have high energy and we relate well to people. And, instead of getting into a conflict, we diffuse it. We diffuse the situation, and, we do joyful things, and time just passes by, and we have faith in outcomes. We don't have fear. But when our emotions are negative, we're frazzled, we're frustrated, we're angry. Our emotions will actually turn physical on us. We feel that life is an uphill battle. Like, just when we think we can't handle one more thing, boom, here comes another. And so we start to fixate on problems, and then we're fighting against the conflict. Everything is a fight. And then your life force is drained. And so if any of that sounds familiar, your emotions are speaking to you and saying, okay, you got to turn this boat around. Otherwise, something's going to happen physically to you. And this is what happens. So, I teach a class called integrated energy therapy. It's an energy healing modality where you learn a technique to get emotional issues out of the cellular level in the body. Because certain emotions will store in specific areas of the body. And you may have heard some of this in other trainings. I've heard some people in the essential oil world, in a kind of a vague, simplistic way talk about this. But look at this chart, because if you have a physical issue that has been bothering you, if you can relate it to the emotion, you now know how to work on the underlying issue by getting to the emotion. And if you have an emotion that plagues you, well, no pun intended with the word plague, but if you have an emotion that really bothers you, then you know what physical issue is coming if it's not addressed. And this is really powerful knowledge to have, because this embeds in us at a cellular level. So when people come to me and say, Allie, I'm getting, a lot of headaches, a lot of migraines, I just ask them, what have you been feeling guilty about? And they look at me like I'm psychic. And it's like, I'm not psychic. It's just, I know where emotions embed in the body. Anger goes to the liver. Okay. So, I'm doing some liver detox, both physically and emotionally. And, people who have lower back issues, that's where the kidneys are. That's where fear stores. So, this is really important information to know so that you can look at it. And I'm not sure if any of you are having an aha moment right now, but when I look at this, it's like, oh, okay. Now I know why my neck has been feeling kind of stiff. There's a lot of threat in our world. There's a lot of threat. So, what are the sort of things, that we can do? Well, our oils are absolutely there to support us. And, because emotions weigh us down, we can work with the olfactory response when we smell an oil, because the odor stimulates the olfactory membranes and triggers electrical impulses to the olfactory bulb in the brain. Okay, so this isn't woo-woo. Okay, this is science. This is science. This is how it works when we smell an oil. It's why, whenever I'm helping somebody new with oils, when they're working on something emotionally, I always have them smell the oil. You do not have to put a drop on your body. You can literally, okay, everybody grab an oil that you have nearby and just smell it. Smell it from the bottle. Oh, that sacred frankincense is good. So you can just do that, because this is where emotions are stored. Topically applying when you're dealing with emotions, it's okay. It's better than nothing, but you got to smell it. You got to smell it. So the limbic system, so this olfactory system is comprised of the limbic system, which is our emotional center, and that is connected to the olfactory bulb, and it contains the hypothalamus, which has our autonomic function and our body functions, and it has the thalamus, which is our sensation pain center. It has the hippocampus, which is all about new memories and learning. and the amygdala, which is the emotional center. So when you smell an oil, you're hitting all those areas. That's the beauty of smelling an oil. And, because, emotions store in us at a cellular level, you're getting this into your brain and getting it then into the nervous system to be distributed. Because negative emotions will impact the body. Absolutely. When we have chronic stress, it will wear us down. It may happen very, very, very slowly, and you have no idea it's happening, but it will impact the body if it's not dealt with. And so this is why breathing in essential oils every day, every single day, can really help to release long-standing negative emotions, because it's getting into the limbic region of the brain. Okay. So, so I'm going to go through some emotions. I think I've got 5 categories here of emotions that have frankly been unyielding and relentless on everybody. Okay. So let's start with fear and worry. All right. So fear and worry, these are emotions of scarcity. Oh, I see a question in the chat. Y'all are going to get a copy. You're going to get this recording. Okay. So don't worry about it. And then when you're watching it, you can screenshot it. Okay. Okay. So with fear and worry are emotions of scarcity, of lack, of feeling disempowered, feeling panic and despair. Fear stands for false expectations appearing real, FEAR, false expectation appearing real, because you're worrying and fearing about something in the future that may not actually happen. And some people say, oh, but Allie, I'm a natural worrier. And I'm like, well, what do you actually accomplish by worrying? All you're doing is physically making yourself sick and emotionally driving yourself crazy. You are destroying yourself from the inside out. You are traumatizing yourself. You are literally terrorizing yourself, because what you fear and worry, your brain takes as true, and then your body responds to it. When you are present, you're not regretting the past and worrying about the future. When you are present, everything in this moment is just fine. So what happens with fear and worry? Fear stores in the kidneys, worry and powerlessness stores in the stomach. So again, when people come to me with major digestive issues, I just ask them, what are you worried about? What are you feeling powerless over? And if they have kidney problems, what are you afraid of? So the oils that I really like are lavender, because it cools and calms fear. Fear is hot. It is a hot emotion. It cools and calms it. I like the abundance blend because it shifts your frequency to see all that is around you that is amazing. It really shifts you into that frequency of abundance, not lack. Because when you look at your world and you just see everything that's wrong and everything that's missing, that is a lack mindset. Abundance is the opposite. So you need to smell that oil every day. I also like the acceptance oil, because when you can accept, like, there are things happening in this world that on an individual level, we cannot control. So let's not make ourselves sick about it. Okay. When you use the acceptance oil, you're not waving the white flag and you're not giving up. You're just stopping the resistance to what you don't have the power to change. Okay. Like, I could, and I was kind of starting to go down the path of making myself sick about what's happening in Ukraine, because I'm on all of these animal rescue pages for Afghanistan and Ukraine. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me. This is horrible. I start smelling acceptance, because it's like, Allie, there is nothing that you can do to change what is happening. Stop resisting. You're not giving into it. But then it puts me in a mindset of, Hey, I know other people in animal rescue. Let me get them into this page because they may be able to help. They work internationally. So it shifts you out of that, okay? I like the present time oil because it really puts you in the present moment to where you're not thinking way ahead in the future. You're not thinking about stuff that's happening outside of you. It puts you in the energy that everything is perfect in this moment. So smell these oils, and I like the affirmation. You can use whatever affirmation you want, but you know, the affirmation, I can handle whatever comes my way because all is well in this moment. Like right now, literally this second, for all of us, all is well. In this second, in this second, in this second. Like you can just keep going. In this moment, all is well. And when you have that energy, there's no fear or worry. You go into faith. You can handle whatever comes your way. And you want to know how you know that? Because you always have. That's what I always tell myself when it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And it's like, well, Allie, you always have. You actually have a history of success. You always get through it. Okay. So just keep reminding yourself of that. You can handle whatever comes your way because you always have. All right. Okay. Now you can topically apply the oils. It's important to smell them, but you can topically apply them where you feel the emotion in your body. So typically fear goes to the kidneys, worry goes to the stomach. Okay. All right. The next emotion that is really unyielding and relentless is anxiety. And I'm not talking about a medical definition of anxiety because that could be genetic. But energetically, really what it is not being able to control things in life. So it's a nervous energy and an energy of dread that can come from stress caused by other people, stress from other situations, feeling like you should do more. It can lead to helplessness. And so, you know, when we think about anxiety of all these things in our world that we have no control over, you know, can you control the pandemic? No, you can't. Can you control politics? Nope, don't even try. Can you control violence and wars happening in our world? Nope. You know, what about that friend that disowns you because of a personal position that you have on a social issue? Can you control that? Nope. But if you hang on to trying to control all of that or control how people respond, you're going to be full of anxiety. And here's the thing, you can only control your response to things. You can't control what's happening outside of you. So don't let it torture you. When you let go of what you can't control, you get the energy of ease in the body. Now, anxiety most often stores in the stomach. Sometimes it can store in the head. The oils that I love for the energy of anxiety, orange oil. All right, did I bring orange? No, I did not. I have oils here. I need to start sniffing them. Orange oil, I love orange because it releases obsessive thoughts, because that is one thing that happens with the energetics of anxiety. You go into obsessive thoughts and you go down the rabbit hole, thinking about something, thinking. I should have said this. I should have done this. I can't believe that person responded that way. Oh my gosh, I need to do this. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop. Orange stops that. Okay. Valor. All right. Oh, valor. Oh, this gives you the courage to let it go because you can't control other people. And this is coming from a control management specialist here. Can't control other people. Okay. All you can do is control your response, and your response is what will live and reside in your body. So think about that. Do you want to respond with anxiety? I don't want that in my body. No. It does not get to take residence. So valor is the courage to let it go. Release helps you let it go. So where you feel anxiety in your body, this is where, in addition to smelling it, topically apply it in that area. And then white angelica, this is like, you know, when dogs have anxiety and they put those coats on them and they literally squeeze them. That's what white angelica is. It is a heavy protective blanket of comfort. So get your white angelica on. So smell it. And I actually like to apply it right across the back of my shoulder blades, like a blanket is wrapped around, and then I bring it around the front. And it just feels like a blanket. And then a great affirmation is, I am safe and in control of my response. Because I can't control what's happening in other countries. Can't even control what's happening in this country. All I can control is me. Okay? When we feel out of control, that's when anxiety sets in. But when you realize, I'm in control of me. Nobody can control me. Only Allie can control Allie. Okay, so when you know that, you're safe. You're safe and you're in control of your response. Okay. All right, let's go to anger and resentment. Okay, so anger is a hot emotion and it's immediate. It's immediate. Resentment and bitterness, this comes from unresolved anger that simmers. It embeds very deep into the body and it starts leading to intolerance. And it's all based in judgment. Anger and resentment are based in judgment, where we form an opinion that something is wrong because it doesn't align with what we believe. And so we'll hear people say, well, I can't be friends with somebody like that. Who believes that? That's a judgment. And guess what? You're angry. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to become resentment. And, you know, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience here. And, you know, people are at different places and on a different pace than you are, than I are. And, you know, unless it involves physically harming somebody, should we be forming an opinion about what other people believe? You know, families and friends and marriages have been torn apart by the events of recent years, which creates more anger and bitterness and intolerance. And this all stores in the liver, the gallbladder, and the spleen. And so the oils that are really good for this, German chamomile. Did I bring that one here? I did not. I don't know what oil I brought. German chamomile. It is very blue in color. Blue is calming. Blue is peaceful. It cools hot because anger is hot. And German chamomile supports the body's natural response to irritations. That's what it does. Well, guess what an irritation is? Anger and resentment. Okay, so that includes emotional irritations. It's a very peaceful oil. The forgiveness blend. You know, anger and resentment are poison in the body. You are literally poisoning yourself every time there is judgment, because judgment will lead to anger and resentment. And anger and resentment is like hot poison in the body. And this is where forgiveness is very important. And when you can smell this oil and work with it consistently, forgiveness has a frequency to it. And Gary knew that. And that oil taps into that frequency. Peace and calming is another great one. It's the oil that I call not my problem. Not my problem. You're doing something, not my problem. You believe something, not my problem. You can believe whatever you want to believe, as long as you don't hurt a person or an animal or destroy a country. You can believe whatever you want to believe, not my problem. Not my issue, not for me to judge. And believe me, I'm a Leo. I'm a very judgmental person. So for me to get to that point with peace and calming, do you know how many bottles I've had to suck down over the last 9 years? It really helps. It gets you to the point where you're like, you can have your belief and I'm okay with that. Just don't hurt anybody in the process. That oil is phenomenal. And then humility. Did I bring? Yeah, I did bring. I love humility. It keeps you sweet and strong, no matter what is happening around you. So it allows you to release the anger and resentment and get back to being sweet and strong. And so again, apply these oils where you feel them in your body. Anger is in the liver and gallbladder on the right side of the body. Resentment is in the spleen on the left side of the body. But make sure that you smell them to get it into the limbic region of the brain. And a good affirmation is, I am not responsible for other people. I'm only responsible for myself. I'm not responsible for other people. I'm only responsible for myself. I say that a lot when I'm driving. When I say, what is wrong with people? And it's like, I am not responsible for other people. I am only responsible for myself. People probably wonder why I'm getting so like animated in my car, because I will literally move my hands up and down. I am not responsible for other people. I am only responsible for myself. And it works. It really does. All right, let's go to depression and grief. All right. Oh boy, depression and grief. I put these two together because the same oils help with both. Now, depression, can relate to guilt, to feeling worthless, to sadness, to loss of interest that is not necessarily like pinpointed to a specific situation. Whereas grief involves, sadness from a specific loss. But both of them are as a result of inability to accept what happened. They can result in loneliness, because it's focusing on what's missing. It's looking in the past rather than being in the present. And yes, when our world changes, we miss the world that we lived in. Isolation and sickness and death and war and protests, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and lifestyles had to change. We can be depressed and grieve that world that we lost. And, even suppressed emotions from the past will come up, especially living in isolation, for so long. But depression and grief has an inability to move forward in life. So you literally get stuck in it, and it stores in the lungs. Well, we are living in a world where we need to keep our lungs healthy, right? So my favorites are frankincense. All right, let's get the Frank out again, because grief stores in the lung meridian energetically. It's a very uplifting oil. It calms the chatter in our brain that comes with depression and grief. All the what ifs, that go through our mind. Frankincense really silences that, but it's great for the lungs, and you have to breathe it in very deeply to get it into the bottom recesses of the lungs. Rose, oh my gosh, this is amazing for clearing the energy of grief and sadness in the heart. Rose is amazing. So any blend that has rose in it, if you don't have rose by itself, any blend that has rose in it will be amazing. Joy has rose in it, because once you can clear the grief, it's okay to move on and be happy. And that's where joy comes in. And then hope. I love the hope oil because it helps to bring us out of the darkness. It brings us out of the fear and into faith. And hope is kind of that in between, where it's like, okay, I'm pulling myself out of fear. All right, I'm trying to get to faith. And you have that hopefulness that you're going to get there. So again, topically apply the oils where you feel the emotion. Lungs are a great place to put these oils, but smell them. And a great affirmation is, I am doing my best every day. I am open to change. I am worthy to live my life, and my loved ones would want that. This is a really good one. And then the last category is when you feel overwhelmed and numb. So when negative emotions are not processed in a healthy way, we can go into avoidance mode. It's just simply when we can no longer manage what is happening. We just say, you know what, I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. And it happens during chronic trauma, chronic grief, a long-term illness, either yourself or a family member. And it results in numbing behaviors as a way to protect your emotions, to protect your brain. And when you get into that overwhelmed because of what you're dealing with and you start numbing, then everything feels like an information overload. Everything is like an information overload. Like you look at your inbox in your email and you may only have 8 messages, but your thought is, oh, I can't deal with that right now. That's this category. Because you just, when you're overwhelmed and numb, you cannot process information as efficiently as when you are in a healthy state of mind. And you'll feel fatigued and you get drained a lot quicker and you begin to feel defeated. Like, why bother? Why bother doing anything? I'm just numb and I'm overwhelmed. But when you put that energy out into the world, it binds with other similar energy and then it gets stronger. And that's what we've had really going through our world, is this overwhelm and this numbing behavior. And it's like everybody just kind of latched onto each other and it made it bigger. Well, this energy stores in the stomach and the adrenals. And a lot of people are going through adrenal fatigue, or they thought they healed it and they got back into it. So this is a category I know very well, because basically since Thanksgiving 2019, my mom has been in assisted living with, she had a fall and boom, her dementia went through the roof. I mean, she had very slow progressive, but was very functioning. With one fall, boom, bedridden ever since, in assisted living. She is now in final stages. She's had 4 run-ins with death, including last month, where everybody said she wouldn't make it through the night. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's overwhelming. And my coping mechanism is to numb myself with work. Having 3 businesses, that is super easy, because I can say, well, Allie, you always have a to-do list. You got all this energy, let's go do it. That's how I cope. I also clean my house from top to bottom. My mom taught me that, that when I'm stressed, just clean the house. So it works. I can't keep that up. I can't keep that up. So this is a category I have worked with extensively. Cedar wood. Oh my gosh. Cedar wood gives you immovable strength during crisis. Think of a cedar tree, deep roots, like immovable strength. This is a great oil to work with. And it has that warm blanket energy, like you're just being wrapped in a warm blanket. Trauma life really is the calm during the storm. Okay, because as things are happening, especially, if it's a chronic situation, which we're just in chronic stress all the time now, chronic. Use trauma life, because you're releasing continuously, because you don't want it to build up to where you get numb and overwhelmed. So you're releasing as you're going through it. That's an important oil. Surrender, oh my gosh, is one of my favorites. When you really need an oil, yes, the oil can smell awful to you, but you can also crave the oil. I crave surrender. I cannot get enough of this oil. And for a control management specialist like me, I need surrender. Oh, it just releases the need to control and allows you to go with the flow. There's nothing I can do for my mom other than to be there. Can't change what's happening. I can just be there and be my best for her. That's all I can do. Surrender oil does that. With everything that's happening in the world, it's important that we are at our best for when we are needed. when we are needed to help, when a friend needs help, when a family member needs help. Because if we're falling apart, we're not going to be there to help. Okay. The sensation oil, this helps bring back happy and joyful emotions and feelings, because part of overwhelm and numbing is a refusal to deal with your thoughts and your feelings. And I've been joking about this for 2 weeks. I'm like, hashtag not dealing with thoughts and feelings. I'm going right into activity mode. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to get stuff done. I don't want to deal with it. Well, you're going to deal with it at some point. Sooner rather than later is better. And sensation helps. It really, really does. It brings back feelings so that you can express them. And especially if they're negative, you can get rid of them. So apply these oils where you feel the emotion in your body. You know, a lot of times you're going to feel it in your stomach and adrenals when you're overwhelmed and numb, but be sure to smell them. And an affirmation that works for me is, it's okay to ask for help and take care of myself. All right. So a couple last things, you know, during times, you know, emotionally, when you're going through difficult times, don't compare yourself to others, because it'll just result in low self-esteem. So if you're looking at people on social media and it's like, oh my gosh, if I had the energy to do what they're doing, then I would have what they have. No, don't follow those people until you feel better. Forgo national news, just forgo it. Okay, you don't need to torture yourself like that. Okay. Don't numb yourself, you know, disconnect from technology, restrict, you know, people on your social media page, and do it without regret. That's your home. You're allowed to decide who gets into your home. You know, stay away from negative situations and people, because when you're feeling fragile or you're starting to become numb, you know, do everything that you can to be around genuine positivity. And, you know, if forgiveness is an issue, you know, we all have things to forgive. So be proactive about resolving that. It'll lift heaviness off your heart, you know, and if something or someone triggers you, that means forgiveness is needed. Because, you know, I see people get triggered by things and it's like, why are they getting so upset? Because I don't have forgiveness issues dealing with it. Whereas I get upset over something and they're like, why are you so upset with that? And it's because I haven't forgiven that situation. So practice forgiveness. Take care of your body, you know, get good sleep, you know, really make sure you're up on your vitamins and your minerals. Adaptogens, which are herbs, are amazing for low energy and when you're not feeling great. You know, eat real food, drink water, get moving, take care of your body, take care of your emotions, you know, use affirmations, journal to get the emotions out, take care of yourself, go out and have fun, do something at least once a week that is fun, and then take care of your spirit, you know, go out and connect with nature, hug a tree, you know, it's winter, go skiing, go. I'm going to the beach later this week. It's cold, it's snow, but I'm going to the beach. Meditate, you know, work in your spiritual practice and work with your oils daily right now. So, you know, the best step to take towards emotional, you know, balancing is to release what you can't control and be proactive in what you can. And what you can control only involves you. It doesn't involve anybody else. And usually when you can get to that point, then emotionally you feel better. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and take any questions from the live audience. So anybody who is watching the recording, thank you for being here.